We're on the record. This is the videotape deposition of Mr. Gary Winkler. Today's date is February 11th, year 2008. The time is 9:30 and 42 seconds a.m. My name is Avery, Trotter, the video technician. Will the council please take their appearances?
For the plaintiff, John Gazzoli.
Scott Torpy for the defendant.
Thank you. Will the court reporter please swear in the witness?
Raise your hand, please. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Mr. Winkler, as you know, this is a continuation of your prior deposition, which was taken approximately mid-October, I believe, of last year. Since that time, have you reviewed any additional documents or prepared any additional documents relative to this case?
I have reviewed my prior deposition and have reviewed several documents that was provided earlier, yes.
When you say several documents, you mean that those that were attached to the deposition transcript?
Those, yes, as well as the emails that we had provided you earlier.
Okay. And did you bring any documents with you to the deposition today?
No, I didn't.
And other than emails that you reviewed that you indicated have been produced to us already, and the deposition transcript and exhibits, have you reviewed anything else relative to the case in preparation of giving your deposition?
No.
Okay. Have you or anyone at UPP prepared any documents regarding this case since your last deposition?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And as before, since a lot of these circumstances go back 5 or more years, if at some point today I ask you a question and you don't know, then just say you don't recall, as opposed to guessing, okay?
Yes.
All right. During the last deposition, we used a term called dedicated inventory, and I just want to make sure we're clear on what you refer to when you use that term. When you use the term dedicated inventory, should I assume that that would include, in your mind, raw material, work in progress, and finished goods, all three, in other words?
Dedicated inventory with respect to Lycoming would be their proprietary product that is active and includes those three categories, correct?
All right. And other than those three categories with regard to Lycoming, there's nothing else, I assume, that would fall under the definition of dedicated inventory?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Let me have you look at Exhibit 4 to your deposition transcript.
On the 4 tab here?
Yeah, right. That's an email from yourself to Chuck Bacher at Lycoming, dated February 19 of 2002. You have that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And it says, please review and give me a call. That was written almost 5 years ago to the day, actually, since today is February the 11th of 07. I take it you don't have any independent recollection of what it was that you attached that you asked him to please review and call?
It would have been the pricing agreement as referenced in the attachment, which would have been a series of spreadsheets.
Okay. But I mean, other than relying on what's stated in the document, you don't have any independent recollection of what you attached and sent to him, correct?
I guess I don't understand what you mean by independent.
Meaning that without looking at this document, I know you pointed out that it says attached, and there's a document that's described as being attached. What I'm saying is, in order for you 5 years later to know what was attached to this document, you really have to rely on what it says, not on your own independent recollection of, remembering what you attached to the document.
Well, I have a recollection. I have a recollection of what was sent because I prepared many elements, if not most of it,
Okay.
for his review. So I do have a recollection of it.
Okay. So even
I objection asked and answered also.
I couldn't hear that. Pardon
Was
me?
that asked and answered?
with regard to So you have an independent recollection of what was attached to this?
If what I
document?
explained is independent in what you're referring to, yes.
Okay. And what do you recall then having attached to Exhibit 4 and sent to Mr. Bacher?
If you ask me, answer.
Go ahead.
I would have been a series of spreadsheets which would cover the 5 purchase orders that we've always made reference to, and a summary sheet that would reflect certain notes and a summary of the savings that were associated with this recent quote.
Okay. Now, if you look at Exhibit number 4, the second page of that exhibit, it has a bait stamp number at the bottom. It's a UPP
Yes.
080. It's a one-page document. Do you recall if that document was one of the documents that was sent on February 19 with that
Yes.
email?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Can you say with certainty, or you just assume that?
Fairly certain.
Okay. Now, you also indicated, though, that you recall that documents in addition to that were attached to that email, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But those are not attached to that exhibit.
Not to this exhibit, no.
Okay. In Exhibit 4, is there any description on the email as to what documents are being attached with that email?
Objection, that's not an issue.
That's not a proper objection, John. Neither is asked and answered. So let's stick to form and foundation. Those are the only proper objections. We went through that motion. Let's not have to do that again.
Scott, best evidence is an objection to form.
Would you repeat your
sure.
question?
Let me also say that I didn't expect to come here and have you ask the same questions you asked last time. The purpose of this was to let you continue and finish your deposition.
Well, the purpose is that a number of questions did not get answered because of a variety of circumstances. I certainly don't plan to simply ask them the same questions. If that's your concern, I won't be doing that. But obviously, I'm going to ask additional questions about some of the prior exhibits. Sorry, Laura, would you read it back?
And in Exhibit 4, is there any description in the email as to what documents are being attached with that email?
Yes, there are.
Can you show me where in Exhibit 4 there's a reference to what's being attached?
They're here. It says text 2002 pricing 2-19.xls under the colon saying attach.
Okay. And
And
the
also the
document...
subject matter is referenced at the same
Same thing.
spreadsheet, yes.
Okay. Now, the document that is attached to Exhibit 4, that one-page document, that's not an XLS, correct, or an Excel spreadsheet?
As I recall, it is.
Is that what you consider to be an Excel spreadsheet?
Well, it was made an Excel spreadsheet in my explanation is one that uses the software program Excel. So it can be in this fashion or in the columnar approach as well.
I see. So,
There's a way you can do that.
so the one-page document attached to Exhibit 4 is in your mind, an Excel spreadsheet. Is that correct?
I would think, yes.
Okay. Now, let's look at Exhibit number 5, which is a February 22 email. And if you look at, again, the bait stamp number at the bottom, UPP beginning at 68 and going through 74. Do you see that?
68?
Yeah, at the bottom, the bait stamp number. See that?
I will. I see, yes.
Okay.
Beginning here?
Right. Right. Now, that is a document that has a variety of columns and lots of pricing information, correct?
Yes.
Is that what is known to you as a Excel spreadsheet?
This would be, yes, another part of the same document, I believe, as an Excel spreadsheet, yes.
Now, between the date of the email in Exhibit 4, that being February 19, and the date of the email in Exhibit 5, that being February 22 of '02, were there any discussions held between UPP and Lycoming with regard to the proposal that UPP was making?
Oh, of course, yes.
Okay. Do you have any recollection at this point of who you talked to and what you discussed specifically during those 3 days 5 years ago?
I think, as I previously explained, we had a discussion back and forth, myself and Chuck Bacher. We requested his review to confer with the pricing that was there, his acknowledgement of the summary notes as part of being a part of the agreement. And you know, that's the sum and substance of what we discussed, I believe. It's just
And you, 5 years, you have an independent recollection that during those specific 3 days, not at some other time before or after, but those specific 3 days, February 19 through February 22 of 2002, here today in 2008, you specifically remember those 3 days and what you discussed during those 3 days. Is that correct?
well, it's my best recollection. That's what I recall.
All right. Do you know if there were any discussions during those 3 days about dedicated inventory?
Well, in that specifically the term dedicated inventory,
Yes.
I'm not certain.
Okay. Let me ask you, with regard to exhibit number 4, the document that's attached to the email, and it has bait stamp number 080. I take it that would have been a document prepared by yourself or UPP and sent to Lycoming, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Now, if you look back on exhibit number 5, at the top, you'll see it's basically exhibit 5 is a string of emails, one of which is the February 22 email that we talked about. And then above that is an email at the very top from yourself to Chuck, dated February 26 of '02 at 12:10 p.m. Do you see that?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay. And you say in there, I concur with the agreement, looking forward to seeing our new LTA. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Between February 22 and February 26, do you have any recollection, now 5 years later, of specific discussions with anyone at Lycoming about the proposal during those specific 4 days?
Asked and answered. Objection.
Go ahead.
Between the 22nd and the 26th?
Of 2002, that's correct.
I don't remember if Mr. Bacher, no, I don't.
Okay, fair enough. Now, on February 26 of '02, when you wrote, I concur with the agreement, in your mind, was that the point at which a contract had been formed? In other words, a deal was struck, you were accepting the proposal? Is that what you meant by that?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I did.
So if we were to want to put a contract acceptance date on the 5 purchase orders that were marked previously in the deposition, it would be February 26 of '02.
Objection,
correct?
foundation.
As there was a meeting of minds on the 26th of February.
Fair enough, that's what I wanted. Now, If you look back at Exhibit 5, the string of emails, it goes for 3 pages, correct?
Exhibit 5?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
All right. And we'll get to the attachments to that in a moment, but just with regard to the 3 pages of email content, would you agree with me, there's nothing in those 3 pages with regard to dedicated inventory? That's not discussed in the text of those 3 pages?
Yeah, objection, best evidence.
I'll take a little minute to scan it, if that's all right.
Take your time, yeah. And then we'll get to the attachments after that.
No, in the 3-page email, I did not see any reference to dedicated inventory,
All right.
other
And
than
then-
incorporated by reference to the summary sheet, summary spreadsheet.
Well, there's
But
nothing...
you'd have to, not in the email per
Yeah,
se.
and that's why I said we'll get to the attachments, but, and let me ask you, let's turn to the attachment. And the attachment to Exhibit 5, sorry, microphone problem
Okay.
here. Attachment to Exhibit 5, the first page of the attachment has a bait stamp number of 67. Do you see
Yes.
that? Okay. And then there are notes. But this, by the way, is the same document that was attached to Exhibit 4 that we discussed previously that was prepared by UPP, correct?
Well, it looks like it's formatted differently, but
How so?
well, because the attachment 4 explains the amount of savings to Lycumen.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow you. Where are you on that document?
If I look at this one,
That's the attachment to
one-time
Exhibit
savings
4.
from early start versus auction is 106,530,000, and that is absent from this other attachment. So there must have been, but the notes are the same. Percentages are slightly different.
Okay.
No, they're not the same.
What else is different?
Several things. I mean, you'd have to compare item by item, but it's formatted differently.
In any event, both the attachment that is attached to Exhibit 4 that has bait stamp 080 and the attachment attached to Exhibit 5 that has bait stamp 067, those would have been prepared in their entirety by UPP, correct?
As I recall, yes.
Fair enough. Now, what was the one-time savings? What was that that's referenced on Exhibit 4? What were you referring to?
I don't completely recall. I don't remember.
All right, fair enough. Now, you testified that February 26th of 2, when you wrote the email that's at the top of Exhibit 5, there was a meeting of the minds. What did you mean by that, just so we're clear on what you refer to as a meeting of the minds?
Well, I think, as I recall, the meeting of the minds was the pricing associated with the